Perhaps more than any other hero, Wolverine is synonymous with his healing factor. Well, I mean, you might argue that Deadpool is better known for his healing factor. That's not the point. The point is, Wolverine has a healing factor, and boy is this thing powerful. I mean, it's almost getting ridiculous. There was a time where Logan's ability could heal from gunshot wounds, stabs, burns, all that. I don't want to say they were basic injuries, because his healing factor was still impressive, but there's a cap to what he could survive or heal back from. But now, that limit is incredibly hard to find, if there even is a limit. So that raises a question. Can Wolverine be killed? Well, that's what we're here to find out. Now, yes, I know that the main Earth 616 Wolverine is currently dead in the comics, but we're not going to count that. Mostly because Logan didn't have his healing factor at the time, and he hadn't had it for quite a while. No, we're trying to figure out if Wolverine can be killed, even if he still has the ability to heal. Is there anything that his healing factor can't counter, or can it just overcome any injury? Now, first off, we kind of need to explore Logan's abilities, and see just what he's capable of. Wolverine is able to heal by regenerating damaged or destroyed tissue at a much faster rate, and with much more efficiency than a normal human. He's fully healed from numerous gunshot wounds, regrown limbs, severe burns that covered most of his body, has withstood huge surges of electricity running throughout his entire body, has taken hits from characters like Hulk and Juggernaut, and can even regrow complex body parts like his eyes. One time, Wolverine's heart exploded inside his body, and he's up and ready to go in just a few seconds. Logan has also been incinerated to the point where he was just a skeleton, yet he still regrew all of his skin, muscles, and internal organs in just a couple of minutes. His healing factor also grants him a high resistance to toxins and poisons, to the point where he once consumed enough poison to kill 20 men with no sign of discomfort. Finally, it also protects Wolverine from all earthly diseases, and extends his lifespan to the point where some characters believe he is immortal. But even with all this power, believe it or not, there actually are a handful of ways to kill Wolverine. Drowning. Now, one way to kill Wolverine is to chain him up and throw him into water, or to lock him in a tank of water, basically drown him. You see, even with his healing factor and adamantium skeleton and claws and all his other mutant powers, he's still a human. Well, he's not a human, but you know what I'm saying. He still has internal organs, which need oxygen. His lungs can't heal from a lack of oxygen. They just can't. Like, they can heal from gunshots, but they cannot heal from just not having enough oxygen. When he gets in the water and starts drowning, his healing factor would kick in, and his body would try to heal the dying cells, but the new cells would also start dying because of oxygen starvation. As his body starts to be deprived of oxygen, Wolverine's brain was shut down in just a few minutes. And it's possible that Logan's brain would start to repair itself. Man, it is even probable, given the extent of his healing factor. But then you have to add in the fact that he'll probably go into cardiac arrest, given the increased stress on his heart. So now his brain is dead or dying, his lungs are starved of oxygen, and then his heart is no longer pumping blood. And at this point, Wolverine is basically dead. And his healing factor can't work after death. Wolverine has even admitted several times that drowning is one way to kill him, although it might take a little while. Starvation. Wolverine's healing factor depends on his body state, so if he lacks sleep and proper nutrition, it slows his healing ability just drastically. And this makes sense, as his body is still a mortal human body, and you can't function without the proper amount of energy. Like, you can heal from a bullet wound, but you cannot heal from just not having food. Eventually, Wolverine will run out of energy, and his healing factor will weaken to the point where it stops working and he will eventually die. So I believe that Logan can starve to death. Decapitation. One way that you can kill Logan is by cutting off his head and then removing it far away from the body. Professor X even suggested that this is a way to put down Wolverine in the Xavier protocols. And are you really going to argue with Professor X? But see, here's the problem with decapitation. Wolverine has adamantium-laced bones, including his spine. And since this metal is indestructible, you can't really cut through his spine. However, you can slice through the joints in his spine. There's no way that Logan has a solid metal spine, because otherwise he wouldn't be able to bend over or turn his head or really anything. The joints have to be soft tissue. It can't be adamantium. So a blade could cut between his vertebrae and sever his head. Now all you have to do is just take the head and keep it away from his body. Wolverine's body can't function without a head, and he can't regrow a new one. He's a healer, he's not a starfish. Like, he cannot grow new body parts, especially bones. And without his body, Wolverine's head has no lungs to get oxygen. So I'll give it maybe 5 minutes before he's brain dead. Keep his head away from his body for long enough, and he is done for sure. Now, I know that Wolverine has survived decapitation in Ultimate Wolverine vs. Hulk, but in that same comic, they try and say that Logan can breathe through the skin in his face, and he's also able to talk without lungs. And that is just so stupid. It doesn't make any sense. So we're just going to ignore that one comic and chalk it up to just terrible, god-awful writing. And finally, we have the Mirror Mesa Blade. The last, and probably the easiest way to kill Wolverine, is with the Mirror Mesa Blade. There are actually two blades, but we're talking about the one that was forged specifically for Wolverine, and even a piece of Logan's soul was used in forging the blade. This sword is extremely durable, and capable of cutting through almost any substance. It's able to easily slice through metal by breaking it down on the molecular level, and has even sliced through one of Cyclops' beams before, separating it into several different beams. But what makes this sword so dangerous for Wolverine, and really any other healer, is that it has the ability to greatly reduce a superhuman healing factor. When Logan was battling against Captain America, he was injured with the sword. Even though the cut was minor, it remained inflamed and didn't heal for several days, while it usually would have healed within seconds. Another time, Logan used the sword to cut off Sabretooth's right arm. Sabretooth tried to hold his severed arm in place. Sabretooth tries to hold his severed arm in place so that the tissues will reconnect, like he had to do when Wolverine sliced off his hand with his claws, but the arm just fell back to the ground. It wouldn't reconnect like it usually does. It's possible that if he had been given enough time, Sabretooth would have been able to regrow or reconnect his arm, but Logan decapitated him several moments later. Wolverine himself stated that the sword is one of the only few things on Earth that can truly kill him. But really, what it comes down to is that while there are ways to kill Logan, and Wolverine is actually dead right now, he will never be truly dead as long as he's popular in the comics. They're always going to write him back, and he's never really going to die. But if we're trying to be realistic, and try and add some realism to comics, those are 4 ways to kill Wolverine. But there we have it. I hope you enjoyed that video, and if you can think of any other ways to kill Wolverine, sound off down in the comments down below.